Hello there! Finally, the beginning of the last hunt for Monster Hunter Tri. You guys ready for this?
Yep. I'm scared.
How can you be scared of a Jaggi?
Yeah, it's like the first thing we're fighting, basically.
It has teeth.
Whoa. Can't burp like we can.
That's the least scary of the monsters, really. If it just has teeth.
Alright, just going in my hunter gear for this one, along with the sword and shield.
I'm going with my basic armor set. You're gonna be seeing this quite a bit with like one other different armor set, basically.
And I'm going to be sticking to my usual armor set, which is where I just ignore all the status effects and like all the elemental resistances and just go for the highest defense. Because it's great Jaggi and it has no element.
I more or less did the same thing with my armor.
Actually, with this armor set, it's not the one I'm going to be using in this video. I'll be using it in a couple of fights, probably a majority, but for this one, because I want to use a certain greatsword, I gotta change to my Legiacris armor. Because it has the Awaken skill, and any weapon without an element gets an element. For every fight, I'm trying to change up with different greatswords instead of using the same fire sword against anything that's weak against fire. So yeah, how do you like my 50 greatswords in that inventory?
You certainly spent a lot of time making them.
Yep.
We all spent a lot of time making our weapons.
I think you've had enough.
Oh, I'll tell you when I had enough. Yeah, how this is going to work is we're going to kind of work our way up in terms of monster progression. And since we kind of did monsters out of order, some things may seem like different in terms of when they start. Like, this was the first thing we did. But the next video is going to be from a different time when we recorded, basically. And since the Jaggi is actually really weak, we decided to fight two. In fact, I don't think... I was looking this over, I'm not sure if I said I can't find the Great Jaggi quest, because looking over at the footage I cut out, I looked over it like 50 times, and I just thought to myself, was I really not seeing the Jaggi quest that day?
Were you looking for like a low rank one?
No. Every monster...
All these are high rank.
Yeah, every monster we're fighting is high rank. With one exception, but that'll be way later. Actually, two exceptions. And there you go, right in front of them. First monster of the day, folks.
Yeah.
Now, usually when you fight the Great Jaggi in the game, it's like the first quote-unquote boss monster that you fight.
Yes, and I was finding... And I think I was looking for the other Great Jaggi while I was at it.
Yeah, you did. You actually found him
what
in
happened
the area.
what happened was that me and Angel basically split up and went after the other Great Jaggi. I was using the fire special lance that you get from materials from an event quest, even though I'm usually a switch axe user. But I thought I'd switch things up, no pun intended.
And his face is broken. There you go.
And I'm using a fire element hammer, which kind of looks like a revolver. And the reason we're all using fire weapons is that's what the Jaggi is weak against.
Yeah.
Although, slight misconception, it's weak against almost everything except the dragon element. It's just that it's weakest against fire.
And considering this is the very first boss monster you fight, it's kind of a given. It's not that difficult. Has a lot of attacks that are pretty easy to read.
Yeah, if you saw earlier, we already broke the head, which is the one breakable part on his monster.
No, there were times where, like, we managed to stop his attack that would send us flying, and he went flying instead, since we damaged him enough times. He doesn't fly all the time.
Yeah, no, I remember the first time I was fighting the Great Jaggi. He kept doing that tackle move where he like moves from his side and then
check.
Hip check or something? Yeah.
Yes.
And I can't tell.
Oh, he's stunned.
Yeah, I can't tell if it was my hit that did it, because the bitch slap with the greatsword can actually stun also, but the hammer is much more suited for impact, obviously. Now, what were you saying, Angel?
That hip check was definitely, I think, was the strongest attack. Correct me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah, it is. And
I,
first one's dead.
Yeah.
And I do recall that there was a few times where he would kind of get me, well, not exactly in a loop because I can walk right out, but of course, stupid me didn't think of this at the time. But but when I was on the ground and he would come up to me, he would always do that hip check until I get out of the way.
Yeah, that's... Once he starts doing that, it's possible he could do like maybe 3 or 4 times in a row. And if you get chained in that, especially if you're starting out, that can be pretty bad.
At least it's a move that can be easily telegraphed, because he'll make a shout and then attack.
Yeah,
and even if you get hit by it the first time, there's still a little bit of time for you to dodge out of the way.
Hey, I just noticed I knocked him down with a couple slashes.
Yeah. You better catch
charge.
up to him. Oh,
I am.
yeah.
I got him.
Yeah,
One of the nice things you can do with Lance.
And swing and a miss.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yep.
yeah.
But he's not that far away. Oh well.
Yeah.
Sure.
He's heading towards the nest area that you guys were in earlier. So
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not all for sword and shield in this game. I'm mostly a bowgun user. You'll probably see in a later video.
Yeah, and I'm primarily a longsword user. This is the only time you will see me using a hammer.
Yeah, great sword is my main weapon, but I do switch it up. I think the other type of weapon I use through this series, I think it's the lance. I'm not sure if I used the longsword in one of these videos. Well, it's either great sword or lance, but my main. But in terms of #1 usage, great sword. I don't know. I just like fucking big, heavy attacks. Except in Dark
Who doesn't
Souls,
like
where I
big
changed my
swords?
tactic to fast weapons.
You gotta say, when you're carving, one of the most annoying things about the Jaggies is that, or for most small monsters, that they can always interrupt your carving.
The Jaggies are
That's
the
a minor
worst.
thing,
They will
and I'm
knock
off.
you away if they do that hip check.
Yeah.
Yeah, that went by pretty quick. That's great, Jaggi.
Imagine,
yeah, the easiest monster pretty much in the game.
imagine if we were doing the jumping forward Jaggi event quest.
Oh, we would have dressed up in our Power Ranger outfits and stuff. That would have been great, but the event wasn't
I
available.
like the image. I like the image of the Jaggi there.
By the way, this was the first game it was in.